This is Tom Dillon, the Lifetime Liberal, and today is Wednesday, November 2nd, 2016. The title of this rant will be The Fight for Mosul. 4 wars in one. So we are now approaching Mosul. Some troops are actually in Mosul, in the northern Iraqi city. And what's going on here is some separate wars going on at the same time as the larger war is going on. So let's talk a little bit about it. So you have, let's just call it the allies, which are comprised of the Kurds. The Kurds are very, very good fighters. They're a separate race of people that live in parts of Syria, Turkey, Iran, and Iraq. They would like nothing more to be their own homeland, so to speak, whether it's an independent country or autonomous. Not really quite sure about that, but they'd like to be autonomous completely. They're fighting for us. We have the Iraqi military, which is made up of mostly Shia fighters. And remember, those are the same Shia military that was supposed to be guarding Mosul when ISIL sent its, let's just say, social media stuff on what they were going to do to all those fighters when they walked in, so that when they actually did start coming in, they all cut and ran. Remember that. Well, they're mostly Shia, even though they are supposedly having more Sunni as part of the military right now. Then you have the Iraqi paramilitary, which is all Shia. Parts of it are trained by the Quds force from Iran. Some of them might be part of also Mosel al-Sadr's group. And then you also have some Sunni tribesmen who are helping out here. And from my understanding that they're each supposed to go to a certain spot and then hold on to that spot. And the question is will they hold on to that spot? And if they don't and they go further in, will they claim that as their own? Yeah, that's a big thing that's going on. And so we have all of them going against ISIL. Remember, ISIL is going to be sitting there. Plenty of suicide bombers, because plenty of them want to fight for those 72 babes when they die. And there's going to be plenty of booby traps, plenty of IEDs, plenty of landmines. There will be atrocities. I hate to say that everyone doesn't want that type of thing, but there will be atrocities. There will be atrocities by ISIL using innocent civilians, especially children, as human shields. So what do we basically have here? Again, one other point about that. We also have the Turks, who are not directly in there, but have been in Iraq, amassing a large armored convoy, etc., at a border town. I believe it's called Aleppo in Turkey, that is not that far from Mosul. And of course, Iraq, as a country, does not want Turkey into Mosul. So, what we have going on in this area right here, just in the Mosul fighting wars, we have the U.S. with Iraq, and somewhat against Iran, because Iran has the paramilitary in Mosel al-Sadr's group, and we also have what will happen after Mosul is taken over, because how many of those ISIL fighters will get back to Raqqa in Syria? So that fight at some point may be extended over the border. And then when you go into Syria, you have a fight of, let's just say, a proxy war between the United States and Russia. Russia is clearly behind al-Assad, who has also committed tremendous amount of atrocities as a state sponsor, so to speak. Will there actually be peace if he's still in power? You also have in Syria a Sunni Shia war going on with a proxy of Saudi Arabia against Iran. So there's a lot of these little wars that are going on as part of the bigger war. And of course, the bigger war is we want to get rid of terrorism, and that's why Turkey's doing what it is doing. Iran, Saudi Arabia, Sunni, Shia, etc. Now, I mentioned that Turkey has troops on the border in a town called Aleppo, right across from Iraq. It wouldn't take much for that armored troops to go down to Mosul. Now, remember, wars are started for all kinds of strange reasons. Remember, we thought that the Maine was bombed. It might have been an internal fire that blew up on the Maine. So we could start wars, on, as they say, the fog of war. We don't know really how some of these things happen. We don't know really what happened at the Gulf of Tonkin incident. So a lot of things could happen if Turkey got involved. That would be difficult for the United States to deal with, because they could go over to over the border very quickly. And of course, their reasoning for doing it is not because they want to go after to take over Iraq, but they want to fight terrorism. But at the same time, Mosul was a very strategic part of the Ottoman Empire, which Turkey, the Ottoman Empire, lost when they lost World War I to the British. The British carved up Iraq at that particular time, and Mosul was that. And remember that Turkey are Sunni Arabs, and that is what the majority of the people are in Mosul. And of course, that's why the Shia Iraqi military cut and ran when the Sunni ISIL forces started invading Mosul. So Turkey would like nothing more than to have Mosul back as part of their empire. And of course, that will create a divide with the Kurds, which is another thing that they want to do. So you have, in Mosul, you have Sunnis and you have Kurds, and Turkey would like nothing more to have Mosul a part of their country, because really it was part of their empire from long, long ago. And of course now Iraq is claiming that there's going to be war with Turkey if Turkey does invade. So we got a lot going on. And I think that Turkey had been in there a little bit earlier. I'm not sure if they'd withdrawn. They said that they'd go back. Now remember, who was it, that famous Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld made a point that, you go to war with the military that you have. So the United States, I forgot to mention that embedded, or partially embedded, somewhat embedded, advising, strategically helping out the Iraqi military, or the Iraqi troops, part of the Iraqi government, are U.S. troops who are not only providing men, but providing air power and a lot of logistics going on there. So there's we're going into this fight with the army that we have, or the contingents of the armies that we have, which is a broad coalition of groups who basically hate, a lot of them really hate each other and would like nothing more than to knock them off. As I mentioned, we know there will be atrocities by ISIL as they're getting out of Mosul. But there could also be atrocities by all of these various sects against each other, and also against innocent civilians as they are taking parts of Mosul back and forth. Because remember, Mosul, Sunni, and most of the troops that are heading into Mosul are going to be Shia. So what's left? What will be left of Mosul when the press actually gets in there? Because will they be able to tell what type of atrocities may be committed? And, will this broaden out to a larger war? Because we're right now, Saudi Arabia and Iran are fighting a proxy war in Yemen. So there's a lot going on here. I know the election is just around the corner, but it appears as if the Allied forces are moving forward, not too quickly, fairly quickly, maybe a little bit faster than was expected, because we know that ISIL is on the run and will have to be on the run. They will they will use their social media, they will use their suicide bombers, they will use their landmines, they will use their booby traps, they will use their IEDs as efficiently, as effectively as possible, and also their human shields. It will be a mess, but we're really having 3 or 4 wars going on at once in here. And so the results of taking over Mosul hopefully will not widen into a broader war.